Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish your sentence.
No, no, I was just saying elderly was the word.
That's much better. Thank you very much, elderly. That's doesn't sting nearly as much. Just kidding. All right. Starting off with the what's good this week is another reprint. I love these fucking reprints, man, because a lot of these books I've never had, and this is one of them. I've never owned this book. I've never read this book. In the way, as much as this sum going to cost, I may never see the interior of a real one. Maybe it could happen, but first appearance of Galactus is here. And to be fair, this is really more or less a cameo. But I guess the market and CGC and everybody else decides what is and what is not a first appearance. We don't see the big boy until the last page. I didn't know that.
That's the first appearance, though. You see the full character, yeah.
Well,
that's the first appearance.
Well, I guess on the Wolverine 181, kind of logic, it is the first, the first appearance because was 180? Did he appear in 182? 180, 180 also?
Yeah, but it was just a cameo.
Okay, so that was a cameo in 180. And 181 was a full appearance, and 182.
Yeah, isn't like a cameo when you can't see their full self or something like that?
Yeah, I guess so. And then there's a whole Gambit situation where he appears in that annual.
That's a different thing. Because the continuity doesn't match the shipping date with that. So in continuity, the Uncanny that was at 262 was supposed to be first, but shipping wise, it was X-Men Annual 14 was first. So that one's a little different. It's like you have in continuity the first appearance, and then you have in actuality the first appearance. And most people have chosen the continuity first appearance, which is Uncanny X-Men, 262, I think.
Yes. Okay. Well, yeah. That's another.
To be fair.
You said it's going to be fair.
What is that, Letterkenny? That's a Canadian show. I've been meaning to watch that show. To be fair.
Yes, this Canadian is probably good. The only book you picked up this week, Sorge, was The Future is Fucked. You're claiming a 60-issue run. We'll see how that goes. We'll talk about that a little bit later too. I think I have that marked. If I don't, we'll talk about it. Yes. The Future is Fucked is definitely one of the books we want to talk about later on, and they got it marked as sometimes they do in League of Geeks for next week. But I guess it came out today, so it was a kind of pricey book too, right? Like about $12, something like that. A little bit, maybe if I'm not mistaken. So. Anywho, this thing, man, it's such a joy to finally read this book because I've never, as I said, ever read it, and it's cool that Jack Kirby took some cues from his fellow bullpenner, quote unquote bullpenner, because there was no such thing as a bullpen back then. Jim Steranko. Jim Steranko inspired Jack to do these photo collages in his artwork. And you can see that's one of the things he did on this page right here. This is just some really cool shit. Steranko was so awesome because he didn't really need the job. Steranko has lived a hell of a life. He was an art director at a well-known, not photography studio, but an ad agency. So he really didn't need the job. He just came in there with his portfolio one day, and they gave him Sergeant Fury. I think, was it Sergeant Fury? I think it was tales of one of those books that had Nick Fury and maybe Cap in there. Tales of Suspense, one of those books. Yeah, he gave him Stan gave him that part. Which one of these characters you want to draw? Pick one. He picked pick Nick Fury. Eventually doing the Nick Fury series, but he experimented with all these things like this, man. Like, it's good to see Jack doing some of that too. I remember him doing maybe a few of these things in some of the books that I actually did own, but I had no idea that it was inspired by Steranko. But so yeah, this this is awesome, man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably late to the party because most comic folks have already read this book or in some form or another, maybe own a copy of it. You consider yourself a real collector, but I don't own it. And but I don't know. I think this is definitely worth it. Wait, what's he saying there? If you buy the 404, okay. Negative. You get the hardcover. Okay, that's what we respond to the hardcover. Okay. All right, so that's one book right here that you should definitely be checking out. If it's only like $4 or $5 because Marvel charges an extra $1 for their reprints. Very cool.
Yeah, I like that panel where he appears is cool. The interesting color scheme on it.
Yeah, man. I mean, this stuff was
like
going.
the
It's like
purple. I like
this
the
is from the Marvel, the stand pop the Marvel pop art series on the cover of all the books back then because of the experimentation they were doing with all that trippy stuff, Doctor Strange and Steranko and all that stuff. Very cool. Next book I want to talk about is this trade I picked up a couple weeks ago on Free Comic Book Day. Shout out to Gabby's Olympia Cars and Comics, so she had a sweet sale on all these trades called Fatal, which is written by Ed Brubaker and drawn by Sean Phillips. I heard so much about, if you're still out there, Damien, I know you talked about, and some other people talked about Brubaker's work. He works mostly in trades now. Maybe not trades like this, but the one-shot trades. He's done series. I think Fatal has 5 series. This is the first series. I was always intrigued by this story, but I wanted to jump on in the beginning and know what the hell was going on. So glad that I did. Fatal takes place over several decades. It begins at this funeral. This guy named Nicky, or he goes by Nicholas. His godfather had passed away. His godfather was good friends with his father. His father is now institutionalized, so his father couldn't make it. So Nicky is named the executor of his godfather's will. So at the funeral, as they're all standing around, this very mysterious, attractive brunette woman comes up to him and says, I was a friend of your godfather, and and goes introduces herself and all that. And he was like, Nick was like, whoa. He was kind of taken by her beauty, of course, but he doesn't think about it. Later on, he goes to his godfather's house, which is he's going through his stuff because he's the executor, so he has to get things in order. And while he's there, some guys, these guys wearing bowler hats, carrying shotguns, come run into the house, and Nicky's like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And out of the blue, said brunette suddenly appears driving a red sports car. Like, yes, let's go. So she takes off driving, and he's like, okay, well, what are you doing here? And she explains, well, I was gonna park close, so I didn't want anyone to see me. That's why you didn't see my car out front. It was like, okay, I'll buy that excuse, anything to get the hell out of here right now. And they end up having a crash because there was a plane chasing her, and the plane like fires at the car, and the car crashes, and Nicholas ends up losing his leg. He wakes up in the hospital like, what the fuck happened to me? And the only thing he remembers is that he met the brunette, and he also found a manuscript of his godfather's his godfather was a novelist. He taught himself to become a detective novelist. He wasn't great, but he was successful enough to make a name for himself. And he had an unpublished manuscript that he was able to save from the house before all that shit went down with the guys in the shotguns. So when that all dies down, we started hearing the story of where this woman whose name is Jo, short for Josephine, she actually there was a woman back in his godfather's past that looked a lot like Josephine, and he saw the photos of her and everything. He assumed it was like Josephine's grandmother or something because it was so long ago, back in the 50s. As the story goes on, we discover that it was in fact not the grandmother. It was Josephine, and somehow Josephine is involved with this cult that somehow she's not aging, and these people are chasing her because they want to get her back for some reason. So she's on the run from these people in the cult, and Nicholas has gotten in the middle of it. Man, this is a great story. This is just the first 5 issues of I think a 25 issue run. So if you can find this This was like the fourth or fifth printing. So it's out here. It's been reprinted many, many times. This is an excellent book, man. I mean, it's like it's so hard boiled and gritty, and I love shit like that. I mean, I probably should have been reading Brubaker stuff a long time ago, but I'm glad I finally picked it up. And Fatal is worth checking out, and you'll love it. You'll love it.
Yeah, that first scene itself is pretty dope, man.
Yeah, I know,
He
right?
rolls up right in time to pull him out of there.
Oh, I know, right? It's just so convenient. You know, you didn't question it. It's one of the themes is that men just don't question a beautiful woman. You know, she can just.
Why would you?
Because we're so easy to manipulate. You know, like this femme fatale just pops up out of nowhere, and she ensnares like back in the day. She ensnared his godfather. There's this other detective, a police detective that was in love with her. There was a photographer who was just totally, he had a pregnant wife, and he just like, fuck the pregnant wife, I'm in love with you, Joe. You know, just like jumping through hoops for Joe. You know, all these men are just like throughout history, and here she is, like an immortal. She's not a vampire. You know, there's something up with her. There's something supernatural and something really. They explain some of it, you know, with the cult activity throughout the book. I don't want to spoil any of it because it would. And you know, to spoil you, because the art is so great, the period piece drawing is so great, and the writing is so good. If you love detective stories like I do, I think that's something that you'll like. Fatal. All right, the next one is a few more recent, called Blood and Thunder. This one is from Image, from the Skybound universe of Robert Kirkman. I think Kirkman is a contributor on here. If he didn't write it, he probably drew up the the outline for it and everything. It's written by Benito Serrano, and E.J. Sue is the artist. So Blood, which is her nickname, is for Bledsoe is the last name, so they call her Blood. You know, bled so much you have to have a transfusion. So Blood is the woman, and Thunder is her gun. The gun is like this is the future of Earth, where alien species have infiltrated the Earth, and they're living among us. Everything's cool. You know, there's kind of like a little symbiotic relationship between us and the what's up, Bellbore, and the aliens.
Hey, what up, homie?
And Blood is a bounty hunter, and she works for this agency. This agency is what the hell is the name of this agency? It's got this acronym, the Interplanetary Peacekeeping and Penitentiary Force. So they're not exactly the police, but they work with law enforcement, and they hunt down people and bring them in, you know, by hook or crook. And basically, the first part of it, let's break it down to this is actually not, this is off planet. This is on an asteroid that has become, I first saw this, I bought it a while back, but I didn't read it until like recently. Damien was talking about on his channel about how this, he liked the concept of this really cool asteroid with the upper levels, the upper class people are living there, and the rich folks, and the lower you get, the worse life is for you. You know, the lower you're on the level of life, and Blood works all the levels. And her gun, Thunder, is really a complex mechanism, but it's kind of an antique. There are other guns that are, I guess, more efficient, but the gun talks. She has like a relationship with Thunder. So they have kind of like, they like a buddy cop movie. You know, they kind of play off each other. They look out for each other. You know, it's AI kind of a thing. And the first part of the book is basically her hunting down this perp and all the things they go through to I think her and Thunder, by they I mean her and Thunder, go through to catch this perp. And when she gets back to her office of the IPEF, don't you know, her boss, who looks kind of like Stanley from The Office. Stanley, is that you? Stanley from The Office, after a terrible accident to his face right there. He got like an injury on his lip. But Stanley is in charge of he has kind of like a father relationship with her, because I think Stanley knew her father. They were close. So they go through all that. And Blood has this hair, which is kind of, I think she's maybe a hybrid human or something, because her hair like defies gravity, and it's not really hair. It's kind of like it's energy or something that's kind of like, it's like lava lamp energy. It just kind of flows and stuff like that. So there's something about her too that's kind of strange. But in this Earth, it doesn't make a difference. So basically, what's happening is there's going to be this horrible criminal that's going to escape, and they show the criminal eventually destroying the prison and killing some prison guards and escaping. And what's going to happen is blood and thunder are going to have to track down this criminal for this thing. I mean, it's not a super complex story, but I love the art, and it's kind of a fun read. I love stuff like this where it's like this dystopian future and stuff like that, because that's pretty common nowadays. But
feels realistic.
Yeah, and it feels realistic, yeah, and prophetic in some words. But if you just like a good fun read, sure, I like that. I mean, I think this is totally worth my whatever I paid for it, $3.99 book. It's the minimum. So, Blood and Thunder, from I guess the stable of Robert Kirkman, if not from the mind of Robert Kirkman. He definitely had some input into this, and Toronto and Sue doing a good job pulling it off. So might want to check that out too.
Yeah, that one flew under my radar for sure.
Yeah, just one of those like flyers I took on FOC. Like, that might be okay for $2.59. I'll give it a shot. I'll try one of those. The last book, and that's What's Good installment, is a few weeks ago's penultimate book, Robo-Wolf. A wolf. Help. This one is written and drawn by Jake Smith and is published by Dark Horse Comics. Robo-Wolf, and the main thing about this that I love so much is the intricacy of the art. Let's look at this middle page here. There's so much going on in this art. He did everything here. He drew, inked, colored, lettered, all that jazz. And even the background is not white. It's like orange. It's very much, the design is meant to be very retro, and to have that kind of like, remember the airbrush, stuff. People have like this kind of lettering. Maybe you're not old enough to remember that stuff on their jackets. It was an effect. I used to do that kind of shit. I used to do airbrush t-shirts, hustle back in the day. Man, that's a hard way to make a living. But this is kind of from that era. And really the gist of this is that Robo-Wolf and his gang, it's not really a gang, it's kind of like, three guys, three humans. This one girl who's this like this total mercenary, this other guy who is just the tech guy, and Robo-Wolf. And they got to get this big amount of money to the other side of town before Robo-Wolf's daughter is killed by these gangsters. And this is just basically a chase book. But the journey itself is what gets you there. There's so much going on, talking about the state of the world. There's just a lot of side stuff. It's not about the plot, it's about the journey. That's what Robo-Wolf is totally into. And once again, this is what, a $3.99, $4.99 book. This is totally worth the journey here, man. I mean, if you love indie art and artists who just pour their souls into stuff like this, man, this is so like intricate, man. The characters that he develops, he just seems to just like, just bombard you with one more interesting than the next. So yeah, Robo-Wolf, definitely a good pickup. It's still out there. Jake Smith, I'm gonna look up some more stuff that he's done too, because he got I saw his work on another book more recently. So it got me more interested in to see what else Jake Smith has done. I had not heard of him before for this book. But Robo-Wolf,
it's a cool looking book, man, for sure.
Isn't it? And it's only one cover. That's all you need. And Robo-Wolf is the last book on this week's version of What's Good. So thank you very much. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up.